You found yourself on another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United, and on today's episode, the Cavs, Kings, and Bulls were stacking W's on a Friday night as the Cavs sweep the mini-series against Washington. The Kings get a scrappy win over a very scrappy Toronto team, and the Bulls get Nikola Vucevic and Zack Levine back, and oh, by the way, they beat the Charlotte Hornets. We got a lot to break down right here on Let 'Em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, nation. You already know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, your Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and Chicago Bulls post-game reaction podcast. And I am your host, Carlo Weisberg. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into today's show. And you can find Let 'em Know Kings United, which is 100% completely free and available on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, or wherever else you want to listen to this show. Give the show a follow on those platforms. If you can, please turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you want to listen to this on. It is a great way to support the podcast, and I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. Well, the Cleveland Cavaliers once again took care of business against the Washington Wizards, 114-90, sweeping the mini playoff series between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Washington Wizards, even though technically record-wise it didn't feel like a playoff game because the Cleveland Cavaliers were the better team record-wise coming in. But I will say, this game was tougher than the first one, because the first one, the Cleveland Cavaliers blew the doors right out of the Washington Wizards, 140-101 on Wednesday, when the Cleveland Cavaliers reached season high in points, rebounds, assists, and three-point percentage. The Cavs had a little tougher time against the Wizards, because I thought the Washington Wizards, and I'm going to give Wes Unseld Jr. and the Washington Wizards some credit here, I thought in this game they turned up their energy, especially on the defensive end, and especially in the first half. However, the Cleveland Cavaliers stick to their guns. They stood on business, and they took care of business, outscoring the Washington Wizards 32-19 in the third quarter, and that ultimately was the difference as Donovan Mitchell scored 26 points. Jarrett Allen had his sixth straight double-double on the season. He continues to be an absolute spark plug, and I'm speaking of Jarrett Allen here, of the improvement that this man is doing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And by the way, Donovan Mitchell made sure there was no slip-up. He scored 12 points in the third quarter to help the Cleveland Cavaliers pull away against the Washington Wizards. Donovan Mitchell simply said, "We handled our business. We just played steady basketball throughout. The biggest thing is taking care of these games and continuing to move forward. It's expected of us." This was a game that the Cleveland Cavaliers were expected to win, and that's what they ultimately did. They are expected to win today because they are actually playing a matinee game in a couple of hours from now against the San Antonio Spurs. But it could be a little bit of a trap game, though, because San Antonio, even though they are They are one of the worst teams in the league. They got a generational talent in Victor Wembanyama. You know, the 7'4", 7'5". I don't know how tall this man is, but he battled Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you didn't see the San Antonio and Milwaukee Bucks game, what are you doing with your life? You better watch it on demand, find it on your NBA League Pass or something, because that game was crazy. But Victor Wembanyama is going to have a big-time battle with an improving Jared Allen, because in his last 6 games, Jared Allen, he's been getting far more offensive touches than earlier this season, mostly because of Evan Mobley and Darius Garland being on the court. Now that both of these guys were out, it creates more opportunity for Jared Allen. Is averaging 19 points. You can argue 20 points with 16 rebounds and 6 assists. That is not really bad numbers for a guy that is just all about defense, right? Or at least that's what I thought before this recent stretch. J.B. Bickerstaff is really, really impressed with Jared Allen, and he's saying that he could be an all-star. I'm hard-pressed to find a big guy who is playing better than Jared Allen. We all need to take a serious look at his all-star accolades, because I don't know many big guys, if any, that are playing better. You know what, JB? That could be the case. Jared Allen is making his case to be an all-star caliber player. I don't know if he is going to be an all-star starter, though. But if Jared Allen gets in, then I'm going to be really happy for him, because this guy has improved dramatically. By the way, the Cavaliers improved to 7-3 without Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, who are both expected to be out for another month, as they had to figure out a way to play without their 2 best players, who combine to average over 36 points per game. There's been an added emphasis on ball movement and cutting, and to this point, the results have been impressive. And I want to give credit here to J.B. Bickerstaff, Luke Walton, Sidney Lowe, Greg Buckner, and the coaching staff. Even though there are some games or some times during the season that I don't really like that coaching staff. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? They are not the best coaching staff in the NBA right now. They are clearly not. But given the fact that the Cavaliers have adjusted without Darius Garland and Evan Mobley up to this point, I'm going to give them some credit, not all the credit, but some credit for the way that the Cavaliers have adjusted their game plan, have adjusted their style without DG and Big Mo. They worked on ball movement and cutting, especially dive cutting. I want to see them get more into pick and roll 2-man game screen action. I want to see the Cleveland Cavaliers do that to a certain extent. If they can do that against San Antonio today, I will be perfectly okay with that, because after the San Antonio game, they are going to be traveling to Paris to take on the Brooklyn Nets in the second game ever in Paris for the NBA. The last game in Paris for the National Basketball Association was actually last year, when the Detroit Pistons took on the Chicago Bulls. So I'm really excited to watch the Cleveland Cavaliers in Paris in a couple of days. But back to the improving offense. Jared Allen said about the offense, I don't think it's the numbers people were expecting. That's the honest truth. You see 2 All-Stars go down, and you think, oh, things could spiral out of control. But we held our own, and we are still a team of great things. Of course, it always helps to play an inferior opponent in the Washington Wizards, and the Wizards just aren't very competitive. The Wizards had a season low in points while falling to 6-28 and 3-17 on the road. However, Wizards head coach Wes Unseld Jr. was hoping for a stronger performance in all facets from his squad, which got embarrassed on Wednesday by being out-rebounded 62-36, a disparity that would have made his late father, a Hall of Famer, cringe. Washington did play tougher. I want to give the Wizards a little bit of credit here. The Cavs out-rebounded them 52-31 still, and they were still within striking distance midway through the third when Dean Wade and Donovan Mitchell hit consecutive three-pointers to push the Cavs lead to 25. The Cavs outscored the Wizards 32-19 in the third, like I mentioned before. As far as the Wizards, Wes Unseld Jr. said, I felt we took more pride in what we were trying to do across the board. It was much better defensively, particularly in the first half. I thought we were really good. Donovan Mitchell said, no, it's 1 through 15. It's not just one person. When you got guys that know the game, moving the ball, moving around, being able to execute it, it makes life easier. It was another all-around team effort for the Cleveland Cavaliers, despite the fact that the Wizards have played tougher and slightly better, and particularly in the first half. The Cavaliers found a way in the second half to pull away, and that big 32-19 third quarter played a big part of it. But it's another team win against a team that you were supposed to win in the Washington Wizards, and the Cleveland Cavaliers simply just took care of business, and I expect them to continue that against Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs. But I want to see if Jared Allen can handle Victor Wembanyama. I think he can, but it's not going to be easy. The Cavs shot 53% from the field, 48% from three-point range. The Wizards shot 41% from the field and 30% from long distance, 52-31 on the rebounding for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Slightly better as far as the Wizard stats goes, but the Cavaliers grabbed 12 offensive rebounds in this game. The assist numbers 31-19 in favor of Cleveland. The fast break points were 15-13 Washington. The Washington Wizards actually won the paint in this game 50-48, a slight 2-point advantage for the Washington Wizards in the paint, but an advantage nonetheless. Tyrus Jones led the Washington Wizards in scoring in 16 points. He had 5 rebounds. He had 5 assists, 2 rebounds. He was 4 for 6 from three-point range. We did a really great job of containing Kyle Kuzma. We only limited him to 9 points. Jordan Poole was only limited to 2 points, so he did a really good job defensively at containing those 2 guys. Donovan Mitchell, he continues to do Donovan Mitchell things for Cleveland. 26 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, and a steal. Jared Allen, he continues to be a big improvement. 12 points, 12 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Off the bench, Georges Niang did really well. 14 points. He was 4 for 8 from three-point range with 9 rebounds, all of them defensively, with 1 assist. Sam Merrill, he continues to shoot the ball with 11 points. He was 3 for 9 from three-point range, but he grabbed 2 rebounds and 2 assists. Karis LeVert, another double-double off the bench. 11 points, 11 assists with 2 steals. Overall, it was just a well-team win. It was a good team win against a team in Washington that you were supposed to win against, and ultimately the Cleveland Cavaliers did what they were supposed to do. Coming up next, the return of Zack Levine and Nikola Vucevic sparked the Bulls to a win against the Charlotte Hornets in a game that was ugly for the most part, but they pulled away in the fourth. We're going to talk about it right here when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings United. Welcome back to Let 'Em Know Kings United. The Chicago Bulls got some big-time reinforcements on Friday night with the return of Nikola Vucevic and Zack Levine to help the Chicago Bulls pull away in the fourth quarter against the Charlotte Hornets 104-91 in a game that I thought it was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination. I thought the Charlotte Hornets and the Chicago Bulls, both teams, did not shoot the ball particularly well, but the main story of this game was the return of Nikola Vucevic, who missed a couple of games due to a left groin strain, but the biggest return for the Chicago Bulls was Zack Levine after missing a couple of games, 17 games as a matter of fact, because of inflammation in his right foot. Vooch missed the past 5 games with a strained left adductor. Before the game, Bulls insider Casey Johnson said that Zack Levine was frustrated not because of his selfishness that I thought Zack Levine was playing with. He said that Zack Levine was frustrated not only because of Zack Levine not playing to his normal standard, but he was frustrated with the losing. So while he was sitting on the bench with those 17 games, and the Chicago Bulls just keep continuing to win and win and win and win, he thought, I want to be part of it. He thought, I got to be better. I got to contribute. And you know what? I got to give Zack Levine some credit here. He scored 15 points while playing almost 30 minutes in his first game back since late November after the Chicago Bulls got their doors beaten out of them against the Boston Celtics in the NBA in-season tournament. Vooch had 11 points and 7 rebounds in 25 minutes while also playing as a reserve. Now, I don't want any member of Let 'Em Know and Bulls Nation to be alarmed about Zack Levine and Nikola Vucevic coming off the bench. Billy Donovan before Friday night's game said it was only going to be temporary. It's only going to be for a couple of games to get their wind back into their sails, find their rhythm, and find their groove offensively. I expect both Vooch and Zack Levine, Flight 8, to come off the bench again against the Charlotte Hornets on Monday. They could come off the bench at least maybe one more game, maybe against Houston, before playing on Ring of Honor night against the Golden State Warriors. But then again, that's just my prediction about Nikola Vucevic and Zack Levine slowly but surely making their way back into the groove. Kobe White led the Chicago Bulls with a double-double, 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists, and he's finding his stroke back. Kobe White is finding his game back. Compton's finest DeMar DeRozan added 17 points for the Bulls, which had lost 3 of the last 4 coming in. Andre Drummond grabbed 10 rebounds in his 6th consecutive game with double-digit boards. I hope though that Andre Drummond continues to get more minutes, because although it's going to pain me to see Nikola Vucevic back in the starting lineup, I want to see Andre Drummond continue to play more. I want to see Andre Drummond continue to get some minutes, because he has stepped up big time in the absence of Nikola Vucevic, especially with the rebounding. Zack Levine, after the game, said physically, all good. You just have to catch your win, but I felt good. I'm going to get my win over the next couple of games. I think I did good. Missed a couple of open shots that I thought I should make, but other than that, I tried to go out there and play as hard as I could. And Zack Levine, I will say this. Defensively, I was really, really impressed. I was really impressed with your defense. You contested some shots. You forced Charlotte to make some tough shots. I mean, yes, you did miss a couple of open shots. Yes, you had some golden opportunities to make shots that you normally would make, and you passed out of them. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a benefit of the doubt here, Flight 8. I'm going to give you a little bit of leeway because it's your first game back. You're trying to find your rhythm. You want to try to catch your sails. I understand that. But keep that aggressiveness up on defense. And I thought that you contributed really, really, really well. I mean, that spin cycle, let me get some butter with that finger roll layup. Whoo, that was nice. That was nice, Zack Levine. Keep that up. Keep that up, buddy. I never thought I would say this. I'm glad to have you back, and I think all of Bulls Nation is happy to have you back, despite the fact there are rumors that the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings are in the Zack Levine sweepstakes. But when he says that, He loves Chicago before the game, and he's gonna do whatever he can to put on for the city of Chicago, put on for Bulls Nation. Every time he puts the Bulls jersey on, it's special. I believe him. Yes, he has a big ego sometimes. Yes, he does. But I believe that Zack Levine is a type of player that's like loyal to whatever city he's at, and he is a very, very capable player. He's still an athletic player, not as much as what he did against Minnesota or earlier in his Bulls career, but he still has some hops to let that thing fly. And Vooch Maine was in his Gucci bag as he put Richards on a poster. I mean, that was the nastiest poster that I've ever seen in my life from Nikola Vucevic. It wasn't as nasty as the Pau Gasol one when he was playing for the Orlando Magic years ago. I mean, my God, that was nasty. But Vooch Maine put Richards on a poster and say, "I'm back. Y'all better get used to it." That's what he did. Welcome back, Zack Levine and Vooch Maine. As far as the Charlotte Hornets, Miles Bridges. Let me tell you something. I don't care if this guy got in trouble for reasons that I'm not going to talk about. I mean, outside of that, he's still a very, very good player. He scored 28 points for the Charlotte Hornets, who closed out a 1-5 road trip. Terry Rozier had 15 points on 5 of 17 shooting, despite the fact the Chicago Bulls did a really good job of containing him, especially in the first half. And Cody Martin finished with 13 points. Steve Clifford about the road trip said it was a challenging trip, but actually the guys did well. I thought we played a little tired tonight, but we hung in there. I'm going to give Charlotte credit here. They are a tough team. They are a physical team. And Stacey King said before the game, you don't know which team is going to show up. The tired team that gives up so many points in the third quarter against Denver, or the team that forced Sacramento to fall in the most predictable trap that I've ever seen in my life. But while Zack Levine and Nikola Vucevic returned for the Chicago Bulls, which is an absolute positive, Alex Caruso and Patrick Williams were late scratches for the Bulls. Caruso was sidelined with a sore neck, and Patrick Williams has an ankle injury. Vooch said he might be back in the starting lineup on Monday against Charlotte without a minute restriction. Vooch Maine said, I think it was just the first game, kind of figuring out my minutes and stuff. But since everything went fine, I think going forward, it shouldn't be an issue. Levine made his presence felt at the end of the first half. He went in for a breakaway dunk and fouled with a three-pointer to give the Bulls a 47-41 lead at the break, and give me the hot sauce, Zack Levine. Even though it was a very, very ugly game. An ugly game for both teams. Both teams did not shoot the ball particularly well, but the Bulls pulled away when it opened the fourth quarter with a 16-4 run, and that was the big difference in this game. It was a good win. A good win for the Chicago Bulls that came in struggling after the road trip debacle against the New York Knicks on national television in Madison Square Garden and getting the bricks blown out of you by the Philadelphia 76ers. It was a win that they needed for Zack Levine and Nikola Vucevic coming back. I thought the Bulls did really well, especially in the fourth quarter pulling away, and it was a good win. It was a good win that the Bulls desperately needed. They shot 54% from the field, 40% from three-point range for the Charlotte Hornets, 35% from long distance for the Bulls, 29% from long range for the Charlotte Hornets. The rebounds were 42-41, slight advantage for the Charlotte Hornets, but the big advantage was 12-4 on the offensive rebounds. I still think that the Chicago Bulls need to work on boxing out a lot more. The The assist numbers were 29-20 in favor of the Bulls. The steals were 7 apiece. The blocks 6-1 in favor of the Bulls. I thought the defense for the Bulls kept them in this game for the most part. The fast break points were 25-10 in favor of the Bulls. 48-36 were the Bulls' advantage in the points in the paint. The star of the game was Kobe White for the Bulls. He is back. He shot himself out of the slump against the New York Knicks, and he's certainly continuing his momentum that he had before the slump. 22 points, 3 of 6 from three-point range. He had 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 9 rebounds, but he had 5 turnovers in this game. He's got to work on taking care of the basketball more. Andre Drummond, he continues to be a menace. 7 points, 10 rebounds, and a steal. Dalen Terry, back him up, Terry, put him in reverse, Terry. His first career start, I thought he held his own. 8 points, 2 of 4 from three-point range, 4 assists, 2 steals, including a behind-the-back pass. Oh, my God. I didn't know Dalen Terry had that in him. But the story of the game was Nikola Vucevic and Zack Levine. Coming off the bench in 25 minutes, Vucci Main had 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists, 5 of 12 from the field. Not bad. Zack Levine off the bench, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 of 11 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, including the 3 that he made at the end of the first half. Ayo Dosunmu completely held his own. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 2 for 3 from three-point range, and Compton's in the house. 17 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, and a rebound. Compton's finest did Compton things. Miles Bridges led the Charlotte Hornets in scoring with 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. Terry Rozier, 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists after being held scoreless in the first half. He found his game late. Cody Martin, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 of 7 from three-point range. Overall, it was a good win. Good win for the Chicago Bulls. I expect the Bulls to go to Charlotte and maybe handle their business. But with Vucci Main back in the starting lineup, I'm really confident of that. Coming up next, the Sacramento Kings might have won, but the biggest story was the trade rumors of Pascal Siakam. Was he going to Sacramento? Was he going to Sacramento? Is he going to stay in Toronto? What was going on? But ultimately, there was a game to be had, and the Sacramento Kings found a way to win. But I got a little bit of concern for Sacramento, and I'll explain what that is when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings United. We're back on Let 'Em Know Kings United, and it was another scrappy type of win for the Sacramento Kings, 135-130 over the Toronto Raptors in a game that was overshadowed by the trade rumors of Pascal Siakam. Before the game, the Sacramento Kings went from being strong contenders to land the former NBA champion from Cameroon, number 43, Spicy P, before just an hour before game time. Sacramento was like, you know what? We're going to pull out. We're going to try to find a better deal to get rid of Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell, and Kevin Huerter from our team. Of course, Harrison Barnes stepped up with 16 big points tonight, but the biggest story of the game, once again, Domantas Sabonis, his second consecutive triple-double. He has 8 triple-doubles on the year and 3 of his last 4 games. He dropped 24 points, 15 rebounds, and 11 assists in this game. If De'Aaron Fox is Mr. Fourth Quarter, Mr. Clutch Player of the Year, I think I better start calling Domantas Sabonis Mr. Triple-Double, if you know what I mean. Mike Brown said about Domas, it seems like it's a common theme after every game. He's getting a triple-double, which is unique, especially for his position. The only problem is Domantas Sabonis fouled out in this game with just more than a minute to go with the Kings up by 3, but Sacramento was able to hold on with Chris Duarte subbing in, more specifically for defense. His all-star teammate, or soon-to-be all-star teammate, De'Aaron Fox said, and I quote, "He does everything for us. He's the hub of our offense, and even better for us defensively as well. We ask him to do so much for us. Rebound, score the ball, play, make, screen. That takes a lot out of a person, but he's been well equipped for it, and he's dominated at it." The only thing that I will say about Domantas Sabonis is, if he's not named to the All-Star game with De'Aaron Fox, then the NBA is doing a lot of things wrong, because I'm telling you right now, De'Aaron Fox and Domas Sabonis are capable all-star starters for the Western Conference. Of course, though, I think SGA and Luka Doncic are clear front runners to be the starters for the Western Conference. But if we're talking forwards, Domas Sabonis definitely got to be up there. Then you got to put De'Aaron Fox in the same conversation as well. Was it a clean win for Sacramento, though? I don't think so. Even though all 5 starters for Toronto, on both teams actually, finished in double figures, Sacramento outscored Toronto 42-15 from the arc. I think Toronto hung around for so long, and it gave the Raptors an opportunity to come back. Darko Rajakovic credited his team for his physicality and grit. When you're down 20, you have a decision to make. If you're going to quit, or are you going to continue to fight? Our group stayed together, and they continued fighting. We found a way to get back into the game. I think part of it is Sacramento got into a really big lead. At one point, it was a 20-point lead. But I think, and this is like the only constructive issue that I have for Sacramento, I think the Kings are complacent to the point that they take their foot off the gas. And another thing is, Sacramento needs to learn how to take care of the basketball. Again, they are getting bit by the turnover bug. We found ways to win games, but I think Toronto was able to hold on in this game because, 1, Sacramento was not taking care of the basketball, and number 2, Sacramento did not show any poise, especially in the third quarter, to sustain a big lead. Brown said the Kings can play better, especially after a second half in which they gave up 77 points and let the Raptors back into the game. He said, "We've shown we can score. There's been some times when the ball is not going to the hole, and that's when your defense really has to step up. And if you can rely on that to a certain degree, then the sky's the limit." The Sacramento Kings are at this point of the season right now where it's like the dog days in the NBA, right? Where good teams just find another gear to beat the bad teams or decent teams. I think, honestly, Sacramento has not found that edge yet. They haven't found that second gear to push to the next level. I think if we can learn how to get a lead and sustain it, if they make a big run, Sacramento did, I want to see if Sacramento can learn how to sustain leads, especially when you are at home playing a Toronto team that got a little bit better with RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley on the roster, I will say. But I want to see if Sacramento can learn how to sustain leads, almost like they did in Memphis. Like Memphis did a punch, but Sacramento was able to sustain it. Toronto, in the second half, to their credit, punched Sacramento in the mouth. But the difference was Sacramento couldn't even sustain the big lead. They were able to hold on and get the win, but I want to see if the Kings can learn how to sustain a lead, because they are going to face a New Orleans Pelicans team that honestly has had their number this season. But if Sacramento can beat New Orleans, it doesn't have to be pretty, but if Sacramento can beat New Orleans, then they might be on the right track here. But again, Sacramento was able to hold on and get a scrappy win. It wasn't pretty, but we will take the win as it comes. 52% for the field for Sacramento, 54% for the Toronto Raptors. The Kings, 55% from three. Outstanding game for the three-point line for them. The rebounding numbers were 42-37 in favor of Sacramento. The assist, 35-31 in favor of the Kings. The points in the paint were 62-60 in favor of Toronto. The fast break points were 18-16. The blocks were 5-4 in favor of the Toronto Raptors. The blocks were 10-1 in favor of the Toronto Raptors. That's surprising to me, especially for a Toronto team that is decent. It's not great, but it got decent and it got better with R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley on the roster. Scotty Barnes, 20 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. Emmanuel Quickley, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. Pascal Siakam, the trade guy or the trade bait, 18 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block. Off the bench for Toronto, Dennis Schroeder, 18 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds. Jakob Poeltl, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists before fouling out. As far as the Sacramento Kings, Domantas Sabonis, another triple-double for this guy, 24 points, 11 assists, 15 big boards. De'Aaron Fox, 24 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. Keegan Murray, 18 points. He was 4 for 4 from three-point range with 12 rebounds, another double-double for him. Harrison Barnes, another decent outing, 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Malik Monk off the bench, 15 points with 9 assists, and it was Trey Day. 12 points for Trey Lyles, 4 for 5 from three-point range with 3 rebounds. Look, it was a win for Sacramento. It wasn't pretty. It was scrappy. It was ugly at times, but credit Toronto for finding themselves way back in. But Sacramento was able to hold on and get another big win. But I want to see if we can learn how to sustain a lead, especially with a New Orleans Pelican team that has our number this season. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, or wherever you want to listen to the show. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you want to listen to this on. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Skylar Weisberg, and I will see you right back here for another episode of Let 'Em Know Kings United.